Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Loopy Doods podcast. I am your co-host, Drew from Parks Bros, and I'm joined by...
It's a mostly coasters, also known as Mario, which is my birth name.
Look at us. We're in the same room. How about that? That's so weird. We haven't done... obviously, we haven't done a podcast in 4 months.
It's not green screen.
Yeah, no. I could... Whoa. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, elephant in the room.
That's rude. Who are
Excuse me. Wow.
I'm sorry.
I'll have you know I verify on every coaster I get on.
I'm sorry, Cliff. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant it was obvious that you're sitting next to me. By the way, I really do apologize. I didn't mean it like that at all.
I know.
Something you're probably wondering, besides Mario and I obviously being sat next to each other, is the fact that on my right-hand side is Cliff from Analog Thrills. Hello.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Well, you're our special guest. You were just in the room, so you're kind of being roped into this,
Oh. I just kind of
First
woke
you
up
call him an elephant, and then you're like, well, you're going to be part of this because you were just in the room.
I don't even like roller coasters.
We just have had a fantastic week so far. If you didn't know, we're obviously in Florida. We are actually
What's so obvious about us being in Florida? As you tell by this
As you can
wonderful
see
white
by the wall, the slightly off-white,
Yeah.
maybe even beige
Yeah.
cream wall. This is Florida
If you go to
colors.
IKEA and they have a Florida section, this is the color of wall.
Right, yeah. No, and this is a couch from the Florida section in IKEA, and the table, and so I mean, it's pretty obvious.
All right. Anyway, I feel like this is gonna be the most chaotic podcast we put out to date. But hey, that's the fun part about why we wanted to kind of do this. I mean, I planned this trip coming out to Florida a good long while ago, like probably beginning of the year. Here I am, and I roped Cliff into coming because he's never been able to go to Florida before. He's never actually done it, so he was able to figure some things out and come with us and. We've had a fantastic week so far. I mean, he's gotten a bunch of new coasters and a bunch of new parks so far. I've even gotten a new park as of today, which was really fun. I mean, I gotta say, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like trying to.
I
play
even have a
Pancake.
new credit.
Yeah, what was your new
2,
credit? Oh,
3.
right.
I haven't been to Fun Spot.
Yeah. Monday was our first day of the trip, and we officially visited both Volcano Bay and Islands of Adventure. Cliff, both of his first times at both of those parks. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. The next day, we went to Universal Studios Florida, followed by Islands of Adventure again. And then today, we were at a little park called Busch Gardens.
Yesterday we also
Tampa.
went to Fun Spot.
Oh, yeah, we also did
It
Fun
was a
Spot.
3-parker.
Yeah, we
It was a
did
3-banger.
3 parks in one day. Holy cow. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, we went to Fun Spot Orlando, which is actually really fun.
For
I
an
really
hour and a
enjoyed that.
half and did like 12, 13
Somewhere
separate
in there.
rides on
Yeah.
7 attractions.
Cliff and I had 7, maybe 8 rides on White Lightning, something like that.
Total about 7 rides on White Lightning, and most of them were in the front row. But and then we did 2 rides on
Freedom Flyer,
the suspended coaster,
which was surprisingly fun.
Yeah, and mostly the restraints on that were what kind of made it.
They were ridiculous.
fun.
Think of like a Schwarzkopf lap bar, because the other night I was saying Freedom Flyer. Oh, these are like the only like bar shaped lap bars, but it's like basically a Schwarzkopf lap bar, but on an invert, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think of like kind of like some of the boosters I've been on, which are the fair attractions where you're on those. You've seen those before, where the rotating arm. It looks like a big windmill with the structure and it spins you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like some of those, they only have like just like, seat belts only, and no actual restraints, and it has this incredibly open feeling to it. And while the suspended family coaster only had just the bar, like it still had that similar kind of
Yeah,
feel
no,
to it.
it was like the most open restraints I've ever experienced.
Yeah. So you're getting your young kids kind of ready for the feeling of dying on a booster.
I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, it was your first time not only at Fun Spot, which is, obviously not the premier park
No, it's a carnival.
in Orlando, but your first time at the Universal Resort, which for me is my favorite theme park destination for sure. So what do you think about all that?
I can see why so many people spend their entire careers covering these parks for what could be potentially the rest of their lives, and have so much to cover being at those parks, because how could you possibly ever sum it all up in simple words?
No, I know that's probably not the best question to lead in. So I'll pass it over to you, Drew. You got it.
But if you want like a general, I mean, I could see, but like, yeah, it's great, it's fantastic, it's amazing, especially because this is my first time really, like this year especially, it's been like the first time I've really like dipped my toes into like the resort theme park world outside of these chain parks like Six Flags, Cedar Fair, SeaWorld, and seeing the huge difference in so many categories and criteria. It's hard to like focus on what you're initially used to focusing on, which is coasters and the coaster experience, and like how suddenly all these other elements come in, like theming and immersion and activating your senses and all that stuff, how all that becomes like into play of like how you gauge these coasters.
Well, and like literally even just the queue lines.
Yeah. And like
that's
so many,
not even a part of the parks that we're used to, like being from California. And well, there's Disney obviously, but like other than that, like there's not a whole bunch else.
Well, it's funny because you'll hear enthusiasts talking to people.
I just figured if neither of us was using it, we'll just put it down until someone wants it.
Some enthusiasts might like talk about like Velocicoaster, like, oh, it's like my number 12 or whatever, and it's like, yeah, maybe if you were to like potentially discount all the other aspects of the ride, like onboard audio makes a massive difference.
A huge difference, especially like on something like Hulk, which you got to experience as well. I mean, let me know about, I'm very curious to see, like, with all of that onboard audio on Hulk, did that change your thoughts on the ride, maybe your experience on it too?
Oh, absolutely. And the only thing I can compare it to is if you've all been on X2, probably with and without audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And like like just how much of a difference it makes. Granted, X2 stands fantastic. Like it stands on its own just fine.
But like with that audio on the chain lift, especially, you get like this, this heart pounding sensation that something amazing is about to happen.
Yeah.
Where if you're just going up the lift hill without the noise, it's like, this is a nice view.
And I feel like it's really hard to like turn your brain off to what's going to what's going on around you. Like you have to really be jaded, I guess. Really be.
The way I'd kind of put it is it takes it from like a coaster to an experience,
right? Yeah.
Which might sound kind of corny, but like that's kind of how I'd put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you were very polite that time. Yeah.
Why did you take it?
Well, so considering the fact that like your themed experiences are relatively new compared to something like a Six Flags or like a Cedar Fair park, I'm very curious to see like what, outside of there being, many dark rides, simulators, whatnot, like what was the biggest surprise and differences between something like Islands of Adventure and Six Flags Magic Mountain?
Well, operations is a huge one.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that attention to trying to allow guests to experience everything in a timely and efficient manner.
I mean, even just on top of that speed, like it contributes to it, but just having the infrastructure, like I've said that word a million times a day, but
yeah,
like
yeah, especially at the park we were at. Yeah.
Just literally just staffing, like having like 40 to 50 people crews in some cases just to ensure that you're getting those like 40-second dispatches every single time, like, is insane.
Yeah, especially like as a Californian, I mean, I know a lot of rides that I go to certain parks and whatnot, and like, you know, they're running with 3 or 4 people running a massive roller coaster, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but you can tell like some of these people are gonna have a harder time, you know, trying to get out a lot of these trains quicker because they have so many restraints to check or whatnot too. Where like, you know, rides like Velocicoaster, you've got like 4 separate people checking the restraints, right? All at the same time.
I mean, you have people dedicated just to loose articles, essentially, with lockers, like, and then metal detectors. You pretty much have like, you know, 3 or 4 people on the loading side of the ride, literally just dedicated to loose articles, like, versus like that is a ride operator's like one of like 15 other things they're doing
Right.
at like a Six Flags or a Cedar Fair park. So it just eliminates all like potential slowdowns at the platform.
And the thing is, it's like all of these things you're saying like come into factor of just like trying to get people in and out of this thing, and I feel like that's probably has to be a focus for something like Universal, because Universal is a park of, and Disney too. Granted, I don't have a lot of Disney experience besides the Minecraft server we've been in, but Universal is a park of IPs, and those IPs are all enveloping outside of the attraction too. It's also in the gift shop. It's also outside of the park. It's on a billboard. It's in the theaters. You know, but within the park, you know, the idea is like, you know, once you get engaged with this experience and want to have this flawless experience with it, like the moment they can get your butts out of the seat and into somewhere else in the park to now spend that money on that IP even further and have that IP stick with you throughout, like it's almost like an obligation. They have to do that. They kind of know.
Yeah.
They kind of know that like that's where their profit's going to come
So
from,
I mean,
you know?
so like to sort of build off Drew's question, which is like, what's the biggest sort of like difference between this park and other parks that you may have experienced, like as far as just, you know, I mean, the first thing you brought up is operations, but would you say like sort of like the second thing is like somewhat of like the commercialism? Ooh, that light just turned off. Spooky.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Go ahead.
Let me the gaffer figure this out.
Yeah, we'll let our trusty gaffer figure out the lighting situation. But you were go ahead and you can continue if you'd like, Mario, with your
Well,
question.
no, I mean, like, I think like I noticed like Cliff was like definitely mentioning like a lot like the commercialism of the parks, and I think that definitely is something like. Literally every amusement park sells merchandise, obviously.
And almost every amusement park has some sort of IP, although, you know, most of their rides don't revolve around it.
I think
you know?
Literally every amusement park, right? Like
not
every
single.
Every chain.
No, not like a Hershey park.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean, it's not like necessarily like commercialism isn't a part of almost every park, but it's definitely like Cliff was saying, like next level, where it's like integrating it into the theme of the attraction, and then like you said, making you feel like almost obligated to care about it outside of just the attraction.
Yeah.
And then just like sort of getting you in like somewhat of a loop.
Well, if you think about like the Universal parks specifically in Florida, you know, 90% of the attractions are based off of something that's already like existing in other mediums. So like even Jimmy Fallon Race Through New York, that is based off of a TV show,
yeah.
you know, obviously.
I think that's one
that
of
was probably the worst example I could have done, but you know.
Well, I thought you were going to say that's probably the worst ride ever.
Oh, I haven't been on it, so I can't really say much yet. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Friday.
Maybe
we're still
Friday,
gonna go
yeah.
back
So
to Universal Friday.
we've actually still got a couple more days. We've got a SeaWorld day.
Yeah.
We've got another day at
Yeah.
Universal.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that eventually. But I am curious, since we're talking about parks and whatnot and what we've been doing this week. We went to Volcano Bay, which is a water park. I'm not a big water park guy. Mario, I don't know if are you.
I'm a fan of water parks. I go every now and then just to switch it up. It's a nice change of pace from dry parks.
Cliff,
for
on
sure.
the other hand, though, when was the last time you went to a water park, and what did you think of Volcano Bay?
Last time I went to a park water.
A park with water as the main feature.
Oh, as you smell water
park, baby.
Last time I went to a water park was 20 years ago, and it was Hurricane Harbor at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I remember the water tasting bad, so maybe
Exactly.
yeah, it's good.
Why were you tasting the water? You're not supposed to drink the water, my dude.
You're a kid and you're thirsty and you're looking for
What?
any water nearby.
No.
Please just pour the good water. This is,
Oh, thank you, kind sir.
no, you can't help but get water in your mouth when you're a kid and you're.
What? Why would you do that?
Yeah,
The duck is so.
duck is so cute.
He wants the water. I'm talking about water park.
Yeah, no, he can have some fun. That's fine. It's okay. I'll worry about it later. But I will ask. In comparison to the other water parks you've been to, I know it's a very long time. Like,
It's a very short list too.
well, yeah. I mean, same here. I've been
Yeah.
to 2 other water parks in my entire life.
yeah.
Well, so is it only Magic Mountain? Have you only been to Hurricane Harbor?
I have never actually been to Hurricane Harbor. Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Very short list.
and okay. I just want to say this real quick before we continue.
Yeah.
This is how we normally are.
Yeah.
So I'm not joking to you though. That this is like how we normally act, even without even like a little bit of fancy drinks or whatnot.
Fancy drinks. I'm just drinking sparkling water.
Oh, is it really just sparkling water? Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's not. Oh. I had no idea. I'm the one drinking just water. So, but continuing on, talking about water, right? In comparison to a Hurricane Harbor, what was the biggest difference you saw between Volcano Bay and a park like a water park like that?
Oh, the differences are miles apart, man. Like it's just.
Do you think like theming the like what would that be to you?
Well, Volcano Bay is a giant 180, I think, foot volcano.
Well, the volcano itself is
Yeah.
like 189 or 198 or something like that.
And
See it from almost everywhere.
Yes,
everywhere.
we can see
and,
it pretty much anywhere.
And there's slides built within it,
Which
trap
are
door
amazing.
slides, and there's a ton of theming, which is a lot more elaborate than anything I had ever seen at Hurricane Harbor. I mean, Hurricane Harbor is just like, it's a water park. There's cabanas. It's loosely tropical.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Whereas Volcano Bay has interactive actors and projection mapping with characters that you can speak to, and there's names, and there's even a tapu that you wear on your wrist, and man, like the.
So you're saying realistically, in comparison to a regular water park, Volcano Bay is kind of like a full-on,
It's
like experience resort type of deal.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
I don't know how honestly to describe it. I'm not gonna lie. Like it is like a full-on resort to me.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. It's almost impossible to describe. Like, this isn't even just self-promotion. Like, watch like me or Drew's vlogs from there, or Drew already has one out, but so like, and maybe I will by the time this comes out. But you kind of have to see it to you kind of have to see it to understand it. Like,
Yeah.
it is. I would say it's not even comparable to any other water park. Literally.
That's some good continuity right there.
Literally, I would say it's not even comparable to a water park. Literally, the only thing that it has in common with a water park is the water.
Yeah.
Because I forgot even about like the interactive like volcano spirit that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like, what is that? And then like actual theming elements inside of a volcano that like lights up.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. And the fact that this park was apparently built specifically to be a night visit water
I mean,
park.
not specifically, but it was heavily
Yeah,
like in
yeah,
mind when
yeah.
they designed it all. And you can tell that with like all the lights throughout the park that don't unfortunately really light up until long after you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, like I can't think of another water park in my memory or in the list of water parks I do know of that have been listed in travel magazines like Schlitterbahn or whatever that would offer something like that. Maybe whatever the one is at Disney World.
Which one? There's two actually.
Okay, well I don't.
Yeah, Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe those offer something like that, but I mean,
they're definitely very heavily themed. I can't speak from like a experience at all because I haven't been to any Disney property in Florida yet, sadly. But I know for sure Volcano Bay is easily one of my favorite parks of all time. I'm not saying water parks, but parks of all time.
There's just only moments in like Volcano Bay where it does remind you, we're like, yeah, this is at the end of the day is just a water park. Like there's like the. I don't mean that's like an insult or like to play it down. It's always very exciting, of course, but like there's just the little stand, like little tube slides that are like off to the side that don't really have much.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to go up the stairs, and I think that's the thing is like Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure don't have any queues that are over 100 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So like those you are almost always entirely immersed in that park and in that land and in that universe, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Versus for Islands of Adventure, you can't avoid the fact that you have to go upstairs to get to the ride.
For Islands of Adventure?
For Volcano Bay.
Yeah, for Volcano Bay. Sorry. But I mean, like what, you're going to put all the queues like indoors encased? Well, then like what's the point of being of a water park where you're enjoying the outdoors? So that's probably literally the only pitfall with the park, I would say. Yeah. Well, and we were talking about operations earlier, and Volcano Bay, talk about operations. A water park where they're sending multiple rafts down a single slide, and you essentially have block sections. And in the case of Krakatoa, their water coaster, which is phenomenal. Well, we'll get it. We'll go into specifically Krakatoa.
Yeah.
But there are literal block sections on Krakatoa, and so you are just pumping people through like everything was a ride now, and like meaning it's a walk on essentially, and like it was insane.
Yeah, I will say this visit we got very lucky in terms of crowds. I mean, literally, it was absolutely deserted. Like. Even Krakatoa, usually Krakatoa has a 3, maybe 2 hour wait on a good day, you know?
That's wild to me.
Ride now all day long while we were there, which was phenomenal. So we got, 5 rides? Somewhere in there? Yeah. We had a fantastic time on that thing because it's just nonstop airtime and it's a really fun ride itself.
Well, you and I were talking about how we think that experience is better than the experience of a majority of coasters we've been on.
Yeah, well,
you're getting unrestricted airtime. You're getting airtime where you do not have a restraint, and if you were not holding on, you would fly out. Which is bonkers to me that's like even allowed.
There's even like a Death Hill, like there would be
the last hill,
on like something like Zip and Pippin. Not to that extent, because Zip and Pippin's Death Hill is ouch.
No, but I would say it's ejector for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in the front row. Oh my goodness.
I wish I could be able to.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
That hill though is amazing, front or back. Like it is every row you are flying.
Well, in addition to that, I know the concept of like a crazy river is kind of new. I know everybody knows about lazy rivers where you're just kind of drifting along and like enjoying your day and you're going at like 2 or 3 miles an hour and you're like, oh, I'm in paradise, right? But there's this crazy river. It's called the Fearless River at the park. I forget the full name. But you're going like 7, 8 miles an hour, and there's constant waves, and like you're getting thrown against the walls, and you like have to wear a vest. What did you think of that? Because I'm really curious. 'Cause that's one of my favorite things at the park.
The fact that you don't have a raft or anything like that, you are just kind of in a vest and just kind of let loose down rapids, like it's kind of a dream come true. Because like I've always thought about like being on like rapids water rides at your common chain park and thinking like I'd love to like swim in that water.
Yeah, well, it gives you kind of that like vibe of like when you see anyone like getting caught in like a rushing river in like a movie or something, it kind of gets you like you said to play out like that fantasy kind of.
Yeah. And then I mean, of course, like the fact that it weaves within the the volcano, and you look up
Oh
at one
my
point and you're just
God.
seeing all the architecture and
Some of the most surreal views on
Yeah.
anything ever.
you just look up and it's all like dripping down on you and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like that was a lot to take in the first time, to the point where I was like, we needed to go around again.
Yeah. Well,
And it's not too like it's like the Fearless River, but like it's not enough to like pull you under. At the end of the day, it's 4 feet.
no.
4
Well,
feet
and that's the
deep,
great thing about it is it's
Yeah.
enjoyable because you're not actually drowning.
Yeah.
And well, the other thing I'll say that's great about the rivers too is they are not busy.
Yeah.
My big gripe with a lot of amusement parks, water parks,
Yeah.
is the lazy rivers. I've never had fun in a lazy river until Volcano Bay, because it is just so chill, not overcrowded at all, and there's always an inner tube for you, and you can actually relax.
Yeah.
So I would say overall Volcano Bay, yes, no. What do you think? I don't know if that's an answer, my dude. I'm gonna be honest.
That's a yes.
That's a yes. Would you, so? Oh, okay.
2 toes up and 2 toes up, 5 toes up.
I will ask you then, Cliff. Would that be a must-do park when you revisit Florida? And I'm gonna ask you about this for every park that we've been to this week.
It's a must-do for the first time, without a doubt. If for nothing else, literally Krakatoa is alone.
Yeah.
Krakatoa alone.
I mean, because it's hard for me to gauge out the budget of visiting all 3 parks realistically.
That's fair, yeah. But I will say,
Because I was, I mean, the
Volcano Bay though is one of the cheaper ones. I think it's $79.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Really, it's a great value, honestly. I would say I'm gonna visit it every time. I mean, if I was a resident of Florida, I'd go like 3 or 4 times a week as my workout. I would just go into the Fearless River for like an hour.
If I was a pass holder and I was coming out here and visiting intermittently throughout the year, yes, I would make it a visit every single time I step off that plane. If you're on a budget and you have to prioritize certain things and you had to choose between 2 of the 3 parks we had to go to on the Universal property,
I think you can skip Volcano
can
Bay.
skip
If you
Volcano,
are
yeah.
limited on time or money, I think sadly it is
Yeah.
probably the one of the
which is
3
a
that
hard
we knock
one.
off. Yeah.
But also if you're a water park person and that's your vibe, without like don't even try questioning skipping out on it. Like it's a must do.
Even if you're not that much of a water park fan, I don't care for water parks like almost at all. I really don't. I kind of despise them in a couple of ways personally. I've had such amazing visits to Volcano Bay. Like, it has become one of my paradise spots, really. I could literally just sit there and be happy. Like, that is a rare thing for me to say, especially at a water park, of all places.
Yeah.
Now, I have a pass, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing that thing where every visit I'm like, heck yes, I'm coming to Volcano Bay. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
I'm going over there whether you like it or not. But if I wasn't a pass holder, yeah, I think definitely depending on time and budget, I could definitely drop that off.
Yeah.
But something I'm sure you wouldn't drop off was the second park we visited, Islands of Adventure, which have some incredible roller coasters. We're talking about some of the best in the world. Cliff, the first roller coaster you rode at Islands of Adventure was Hulk. Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I went into this trip not really having super high expectations for Hulk. That was like me at Volcano Bay and the Fearless River.
I thought it was fitting theming. We can take it.
Yeah. You're gonna get some on the table.
Sometimes that does happen too.
You're gonna get it on
Sometimes
iron.
your head
You're
goes
gonna
underwater.
get it on Iron Gwazi is what's gonna
I don't care,
happen.
that's
Jeez.
fine. These aren't the wooden ones.
I don't want to keep it closed much longer than it already is, so let's kind of keep it. Okay, fine. Yeah, put him over at Kraken. He's above water. So I didn't come into this trip expecting much from Hulk. Because B&M has not always been my favorite manufacturer. Their rides are fantastic, but it's never been my favorite.
Nothing's like stand out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hulk is a standout. Hulk
Yeah.
does not ride like other B&Ms that I've been on. Nice email, by the way.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Thank you. I get it once a week.
And it has that like old school B&M charm to it too. Which
It has the old school B&M charm while also being kick-ass.
yeah. And that a lot of that has to do with like the fact that it is heavily themed and all the interaction, and also just like it. The only way I can describe it, it's like take a big B&M looper and make it run like a Batman clone.
Yeah, no, when you said that, that made perfect sense to me. I never thought to describe it like that, but that is a beautiful way of describing it. And then also you're adding a launch in front of it.
Yeah.
With a light tunnel.
Yeah.
and it's an inclined launch of all things. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about onboard audio a little bit.
He only just acted out the music.
Oh, Drew said don't forget the onboard audio. Here's the mic.
Well, okay, so there are a lot of B&Ms in Florida. We're going to talk about a lot of them a little later on, especially after visiting Busch Gardens Tampa today. But moving on to another manufacturer.
Did you hear that we went to Busch Gardens Tampa today, by the way?
Moving on, though, to another manufacturer in the park. I'm curious of what you thought of the Sally Dark Ride Spider-Man. Caught you off guard on that one, didn't you?
Do you actually want me to talk about that one?
Yeah, totally. I'm curious of what you thought of it.
I mean, it's genuinely one of like the top 4 at the very least rides in the park.
I can agree with that.
It has easily become my personal favorite in the park. I don't think it's the best ride in the park, but like I love that thing.
Well, since I am and we are going again this week, I want to ride it again.
Okay, cool.
I want to kind of let it sink in a little bit more.
I think if we get a front row, it'll be a little better for like the viewing. I'm not gonna lie, but
and there wasn't really particularly anything wrong with the viewing.
No,
like,
not at all.
On my ride. Like it's the only other thing I can really compare it to is something like Transformers.
Yeah, of course.
Which is he okay over there? You okay over there? Uh-oh.
Well, you could potentially even connect it back to like Justice League Battle for Metropolis. That is also a Sally Dark ride.
True. And like it's a good point actually, because I never really think about Justice League that often. But like Justice League is fine, but it's kind of messy.
I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie.
For what it is, it is what it is. Like it's not terrible. In my opinion, it's not great. But Spider-Man, like of course you're gonna get that like Universal Studios effort, and like you're gonna have a lot more like practical sets that are integrated with the screens, and I guess you can call it like the storytelling. It's a lot more understandable, a lot more cohesive. It's not trying to like overwhelm you too much. Like it just gets to that threshold of like, okay, well this is like, you know, we're gonna throw a lot in your face, but we're not gonna like try to bombard you. Like something like Transformers does, which is like the Transformers franchise is that just
Transformers is just the ride itself. I feel like the first scene you're like, whoa, okay, already a lot's happening. But with Spider-Man, it's like the first scene, like you get an exposition, and it's like, hey, make sure you watch out, and then you know you're like, oh no, I stumbled in the wrong spot because Stan Lee was right there.
I think that's an important point too. Is like it has like a crescendo versus just being like straight out the gate. Like Hulk. But the biggest thing for me, and what it always comes back to for me, is the medium. It is a cartoon.
Yes.
So when you see the cartoons on the screen and they look cartoonish, it is perfect.
Yeah.
because that is what it is supposed to be. And then when you have the real set pieces as well, that kind of just adds another dimension. And it is one of the most flawless integrations of screen and practical effects for sure. So, but again, the biggest thing for me is the medium being cartoons, comics, like. Whereas Transformers is supposed to be like real life, and let's not even talk about Fast and the Furious. Because that's supposed to be real life too, and that looks even more cartoony than Spider-Man.
I mean, I've always argued that Transformers seems too cartoonish for something that wants to be real life.
I feel like it almost strays into the uncanny valley a little bit, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it ends up, they're trying to get super realistic with it, and it ends up backfiring a little bit.
Yeah,
where with Spider-Man, you're kind of, you know this type of world, but you get completely immersed in it because everything looks super cartoony. You know, you're not trying to pretend that it's actually there.
There isn't
like,
that effort of like trying to like cover your suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, totally. So I do have a question though. I didn't ask this about Hulk, but must ride at the park for Spider-Man and Hulk. Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. Like
for both of them?
Those should be your first two attractions that you hit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Walking out of the park.
All right. Well, now let's actually move to another manufacturer that you were probably expecting to hear. Intamin. They have 2 roller coasters at the park. One being Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. I wanted to make sure I got the whole name in there.
Oh, you actually did that.
Or Jurassic World Velocicoaster.
Okay.
Which
I get.
I won't lie, we probably won't spend too much time because we're already pretty far into this.
Yeah, but I also just get flustered
because we do have a lot to talk about. We could talk about Silverwood. We could talk about there's a lot that's been going on these past couple months when we haven't been making the podcast.
But you also got me really flustered talking about Velocicoasters.
Yeah, I know. I know. So we'll hold you off a little bit longer. Hagrid's, I'm very curious on your take on this because Hagrid's is very unlike any other coaster I've ever been on. It is like they advertise it as a storytelling coaster, and I won't lie to you, I feel like that's actually a really good description. Even if the story's not the best, I think I can't really just be like, oh yeah, that is a roller coaster. Oh yeah, that is a dark ride. It's like it's its own thing in a way.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could have more to offer on Hagrid's, but our audio was all screwed up when we wrote it, so I couldn't.
Yeah, that's true. It was all like, oh, I didn't think that'd take you to the.
It's crackling out.
Yeah, it was not the best. I mean, we only did get one ride on it too. And it was at night, so night is definitely super cool. But if you haven't been on the day, maybe you miss some stuff here and there. And when half your audio cuts out, you definitely miss stuff here and there.
Yeah. It's impressive that they did that with a coaster.
100%. Yeah.
Because with a coaster, you're usually used to the beginning to end. Well, mostly coasters. With most coasters, you're used to the beginning to the end being, thrills, high speed, back to back to back to back to back to back. Whereas Hagrid's, it's it's kind of like the other.
It's variable.
It's kind of like the other Intamin, Harry Potter, and the other park. Gringotts.
Is it Intamin?
It's Intamin.
It is Intamin.
Or is it dynamic attraction?
I thought it was Intamin.
Either way, it's a dynamic attraction.
Comment below if I'm wrong.
Keep talking.
And if I'm wrong,
he's gonna fact check.
Subscribe to me.
You don't have a YouTube channel.
If I'm right, subscribe to me.
You still don't have a YouTube channel.
I have an Instagram, and I want subscribers, and I'm gonna call them subscribers. I'm gonna call them subscribers because they're special to me. All right.
They're calcium deficient.
What was the
question?
What was it, Drew? He found it. It's
Intamin and dynamic attraction.
Who's gonna subscribe to me?
All right, so RCDB is not exactly 100% correct 100% of the time. It officially states Gringotts is
Of a coma.
I'm trying to do the I was trying to do like the "Are you gonna be a millionaire" type of thing. Sorry.
All right.
It was not Batman. It is an Intamin.
Yeah, cool. I got subscribers.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought so. I thought so. Okay, but anyways. That was a
Anyways,
little
yeah.
sidetrack. So like Hagrid's, well, it's a storytelling coaster. I'm trying to figure out what we left
Well,
off.
I got onto the whole it's like the other intimate in the other park, which is like it's intermittent.
Well, that's kind of a nice thing about it, though,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because
Absolutely.
it's like kind of full of surprises. It's like, are we stopping? When are we going? So like,
Yeah.
like all of the 7 launches kind of catch you off guard from time
Yeah.
to time. So stopping is not necessarily bad because it does mean like a surprise start again and
Right,
again.
and it never
So it's not bad at all.
never takes you away from the idea of that you're on a motorcycle traveling, because on a real motorcycle you're going to be for 100 miles per hour until you finally run out of gas. Like no, like you're going to be I don't know, like I mean if you're Mario, yes, but if you're that duck, you're not going to.
Why? Okay. Well, so would you say that's a must ride though? I mean, even for like a coaster enthusiast who's like into the hardcore coasters.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Even if they don't care about theming or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many little surprises that even like you're not gonna get like 3 or 4 of those like major like surprises that you're not gonna get on any other coaster. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's literally fun for everybody. Even people that are afraid of coasters, people that love intense coasters. It's fun for everybody. That's why it consistently has the longest wait in the park, even above the Velocicoaster, which is like a fantastic attraction. And, you know, I mean, there's a reason it has the longest wait in the park because it's fantastic for everybody.
Well, okay. So I gotta admit, I think Hagrid's is probably like the most fun coaster out there. Like I don't know how else to really describe it. There's a lot of coasters that I always say are fun, but like Hagrid's is probably just fun. I can't really say it's like intense. You know, it is very all encompassing.
I can see you on the screen.
I know you can see me on the screen. Are you okay?
Just wanted to let you know.
I can see you on the screen. What's your point? Okay.
And I too can see both of you guys on the screen.
Oh.
Anyway, you were getting all like hot and bothered about this.
Mario, here you go.
Are you okay?
Oh, okay. Okay.
He said water, by the way.
All right.
Where's the water?
It's right behind you.
Audio listeners, love you to death. Mario's currently running around the room trying to find water. Oh no, the focus. Okay. Okay. Velocicoaster. You got to ride that for the first time. Your first ride was a front row night ride. We rode together. I can only describe your experience as earth-shattering. I know that might be a little exaggerated.
No, I don't think
guess.
it's an exaggeration at all.
Okay.
I absolutely agree.
Oh, thank you, kind sir. I would love some carrot
I'm
cake
good,
as well.
I want this. I want the spicy water.
So Velocicoaster, good. There you go. All right,
How
let's
about-
move on.
how about-
so,
oh, no,
Mummy.
no,
I'm kidding.
no.
I know you want to talk about Velocicoaster a lot.
You're being like Guaze, just such a tease.
Oh God.
Velocicoaster, though, I'm very curious, as I've been with every question, apparently. Just go off. Tell me everything. Go.
The moment we hit the brake run, I was sobbing like that. I was trembling. And I was
Nice acting.
like that, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was weak at the knees. There you go.
I mean, I can attest to the fact that, like, I didn't ride the same train with them. I rode the train before them. But then, like, still by the time he got down the stairs of the exit, like, I don't know, a minute after getting off, he was still actually trembling.
Yes. No coaster and coaster experience has ever done that to me before. And I went into this coaster with, yes, some high expectations.
Yes.
I agree.
On Instagram, you were like the week before posting, Gonna ride my new number one soon.
I said we could
Gonna
potentially
ride my new number one soon.
I said, excuse me. The key word is potentially.
Okay,
My
I
number
don't
one.
personally remember the potentially.
My
I'll
new.
take your
I
word for
remember putting it there
I'll take
specifically.
your word for it.
I said I'm gonna ride my new. I'm gonna ride what could potentially
Yeah.
be my new number one, and I felt the same way when I went and rode Steel Vengeance.
Yeah.
And the first time I rode Steel Vengeance, I was sorely disappointed. Granted, Steel Vengeance is eventually built up into
Steel
my
Vengeance.
Iron Vengeance. I like, and just everything Velocicoaster did, like down to the minutia, just completely.
I don't know what that means.
Oh,
I got you. Keep going, keep going.
completely like.
No, keep going.
Did I use the word right? I'm pretty sure I did.
We're listening and reading it. Yeah,
Okay, good.
I can't read. No, I'm illiterate.
Small, precise, or precise, or
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that actually makes perfect sense given the prefix.
Sure.
Here.
You just mic drop on him. Yeah, like everything about it, completely shattered every expectation, and the thing is so intense. The role that everyone likes to talk about.
It's very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Anyways, yeah. Let's move on. The intensity on that role is the only time I've ever experiencing anything that intense was on Green Lantern First Flight on the hairpin drops, where the intensity on those drops were so
Was too much.
hardcore. It was painful and too much.
Well, here's the thing that I'll challenge you on. I do not think the ride itself is intense. I think, I mean, as far as like intense coasters goes, like I think Hulk is more intense. I think Velocicoaster has intense elements, but like when you're not in those specific intense elements, it's just fun. Because I've seen people that like aren't the biggest fan. Like I worked it. Like people that aren't the biggest fan of roller coasters coming up to it, going on it, and coming off loving it, even though they're like afraid of roller coasters, and get scared on like and aren't fans of Hulk because Hulk is too intense for them. But then they'll go on Velocicoaster and love it. So I don't think it's super intense.
I mean, I agree with what you say about like there's intense elements and not the entire thing is intense.
Right.
It's not like
because the Mosasaurus roll is the craziest inversion I've been on. It's my favorite inversion.
Yeah. And if you were to have consistent intensity from launch to brake run like that, yes,
Like
you would it'd probably be unenjoyable.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's one of the complaints about I-305. I haven't been on the I-305, but but when the elements are intense and when they do hit, like it's mind blowing to me.
No, I completely agree. It's a phenomenal.
And it's
ride.
not just the roll. Like it's like even the airtime off of the top hat.
Yeah, or those first two inversions even.
Yeah, the first two
first one in
inversions.
the back, second one in the front.
Yeah, it's
So
the
good.
the whip, the quick
The whip,
whippy
yeah.
change in directions in the compound. Like there's moments where I was graying out. Like the launches aren't the most intense.
No, they kind of just serve us as like to get you.
Yeah, to get
Well,
you up. Yeah.
it's more than just to get you up to speed because I feel like mock launches are to get
You up to speed, but like at least
Yeah.
with like the first launch on Velocicoaster, like you get towards the end of the launch and then you feel it. And it's like a good
the
kick,
first launch has some jolt, and then the second launch is just you feel the speed on it.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, and I kind of agree with your point.
Well, I'm gonna say one of my own opinions, and this like have you elaborate on it. Like definitely one of my favorite things about Velocicoaster is how it builds up throughout the ride. How the first half is less crazy, I guess you could say, than the second half. I wouldn't even say not as good as. I like it a lot. Like elaborate on that, like with the first half being sort of like on the tamer side, and then just going buck wild in the second half because most coasters don't do that.
Yeah.
Just naturally momentum dies out the further you go along.
Yeah.
But Velocicoaster says no to that.
Yeah. Well, it fits with the theme, too. You're a raptor, or you're with the raptors, and they're encaged in their paddock where they don't have like room to freely express their potential. I'm assuming as much. And then when you finally get to the launch, that's when they're set free, and then that's when they go buck wild.
I mean, that's definitely one way to interpret it. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I totally never thought about it like that at all either. But that's actually a very interesting thought on that. Yeah, well,
it's a storytelling element. At least that's how
it's like an intellectual way to think about it. I feel like.
That is very intellectual. Yeah. I was gonna say it's literally this ride is a perfect plot chart.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Well, I've used this term like loosely when talking about coasters of the past. Some people kind of like scratch their head and like, what do you mean by that? And it's like, well, some coasters have like a narration to it, right? Even coasters that aren't like themed like heavily like Universal Parks. Like I've always considered Tatsu to have like a narration to it where it starts out very graceful and the sequencing of elements in the beginning are very just like, okay, we're flying over a hill, and then suddenly it ramps it up, and some people wouldn't even call it narration. Sequencing is probably a better word for it.
Yeah, probably sequencing. Yeah.
But if you want to, like, I like to think of it as narration because I come from stupid movie world, and like I don't know, it sticks with me.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what Velocicoaster feels like it really has on probably more so than most coasters. It has that kind of like like the sequencing that sort of builds like an actual like almost like palatable narration that you can kind of pick up on.
Yeah.
That fits into the theming of these raptors in the paddock and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before I reenact your ride on Velocicoaster from my perspective, which I definitely want to do. No, that was after the ride. What I did.
Oh yeah.
I want to show On Ride because On Ride was brilliant. It was like a movie. Do you think Velocicoaster is worth a trip to Orlando alone? Because I know it's a must ride.
Oh, yeah,
I know you're gonna say that because it's literally like your freaking baby now.
Yeah.
In other words, does it fist?
Well,
Mostly coasters, everybody.
It definitely fists. I would almost say that it almost transcends fisting.
What would be after fisting?
I'll explain it to you when you're older.
When you grow up, yeah.
Alrighty. Obviously, with Islands of Adventure, there's a lot more than Velocicoaster that you would obviously do if you came out here. But is that your like turning point on a decision?
Yeah, like if hypothetically, if hypothetically, Velocicoaster was just one tiny, well, it's not very tiny, but if it's just one attraction on a strip like a tourist trap like Orlando, and there's nothing else around it, and like I was like, would you drive out just for that? Like, I wouldn't do that for any coaster ever.
Okay, so we know how you feel about Cole Martin, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, poor Wildfire.
Well, then if I was out there, like I just have to drive to other parks to make my money's worth. Yeah. No, if I had to go to Islands of Adventure, obviously for itself, like drive to fly to ride a motorcycle, ride Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Adventure to Islands of Adventure. What am I even getting to here? Oh my God!
Is it yes or no?
Is it something?
I was going for 2 minutes and then Clip just doesn't.
Oh, hello!
Ooh, ouchie!
I gave an earthquake to all these coasters.
Oh no! Good thing
California.
Most of them are Californian, so they're earthquake resistant.
Yeah. As it stands in the park right now, with the entire package of it being IOA, yes. That's what I wanted to say.
What was the question that elicited that response? As it stands right now, the park of Iowa is a motorbike adventure, then yes.
I asked him whether it was worth it or not to fly to Orlando. Yeah. We were trying to figure out an answer for that.
In his defense, that is an odd question because it's like, would you fly out just for one ride on Volcano?
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. So I guess it's like a question of like, would it really be the thing to push you over to go?
I
elaborated while you were gone a little bit.
Which the answer
making it unnecessarily long at this point.
Yeah, the answer is yes, absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
So that's good to know. I know you really love Velocicoaster because I saw your first reaction. I won't lie to you. Your first reaction was one of my favorite experiences probably ever at any park.
Oh, good. Is that gonna be my brand from here on out? People are gonna start chasing me down to see my experiences on brand new world class coasters.
I'll be honest with you. I've ridden a lot of rides with you for the first time. You know, like even today, especially at Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
You never had that same reaction again. Not even close.
Well, again, like no coaster has ever made me brought those emotions out of me before.
No, because I think this trip has been the first time I've ridden anything with it being your first ride on it. And I can also attest to that.
Is it?
I mean, maybe like Hang Time or something, but I don't think so, man. Like we've normally just gone to Knott's and Magic where we
went to the NorCal parks together too at one point, and
Railblazers you'd already been on though.
Yeah.
So all that being said, I at Busch Gardens today, your reactions were not too dissimilar from rides that you've been on like hundreds of times, like the rides at Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
But, like it was a little like there was obviously a little bit of like surprise and like intrigue there because you'd never been on before.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't anything close to like the just utter giddy you were in after Velocicoaster. It was just like, oh, that was really cool. Like that was nice. Like that might be the best at the park, but it wasn't like.
Well, my top coasters do that to me, and they're up there for a reason. And sometimes they're even coasters that wouldn't even be in someone's top 10 even, like
Fire in the Hole. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. Or like I've gotten to a point now where I don't even really try to rank so much anymore as opposed to like I try to collect very unique experiences, like even like something like Viper, where I rode it in the middle of the night, late at night on July 4th with one of my best friends, and like just the experience of like riding it with fireworks going off next to us, and also Viper being my first time on Viper when it's been running exceptional this year.
Yeah, it's been really
good and like experiencing like a near trimless ride on it, and in the front row. And this is a coaster I've been riding like 20 years almost now, and like that experience alone, like I know it's so subjective. It's too subjective to the point where it would be able for anybody else would be able to understand it being that high up on my list of experiences. But like my favorite coasters do that to me,
Yeah, totally.
And it's just what sets them apart from everything else,
So with that all said, I really want to try and recreate Cliff's first reaction of Velocicoaster if I can. I don't know where to start it, because there's really one spot that really stood out to me, but there was a lot that was really just great to experience. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm usually looking straight ahead. That ride, I was kind of turning back and forth, even while being in the front and having it be a night ride. It was one of the best rides I've ever had on it. But hi, yes.
I don't know if you just want me to hold the mic for you so you can make the noises and the gestures.
Yeah, you can hold the mic for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
well,
boy.
also that like you were more focused on him because even though you only had one like trip out here, you've been on that more than anything else out here.
By quite a long shot. I mean, technically, I've got now I'm at 13 or 14 rides, I think, on it in total.
I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not keeping track.
I'm not exactly sure, but it's somewhere in there. I had 9 rides, I think, per trip. Hi. Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah. Act. Dance, monkey.
All right. Well, I'll for sure at least reenact him going through the Mosasaurus roll for the
Ladies and gentlemen,
Lord,
Drew presents Cliff going through the
also,
Mosasaurus roll.
Mind you, it's 11:41 right now, and there are neighbors that are probably trying to sleep.
Oh yeah, so we're not gonna yell.
Well, I'll try not to.
Well, if you yell, let's put a pillow over your face so I can hear.
Well, then maybe I won't hold the
Yeah,
mic for
here,
you.
we'll
Just,
do
just,
this
just
while
enact the
here's
yelling.
a sound buffer right here. Okay.
Wait, then you can't see him acting, which is the whole point of
Okay.
it.
Well, you pantomime it. Use your hands.
Yeah.
Come on, the eyes aren't the soul to the body. To the body. What am I trying to say here? The soul to the body. The window to the soul.
Okay.
The soul to the body. The soul to the body. Blood of the lamb. Blood of the lamb.
You try to sample that and put a beat behind it. It might actually like work in a club.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I won't lie. The first half, all I heard was, "Whoa, what? Oh, that type of deal, right?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, he's enjoying it, I guess.
So nonchalant about, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
You know,
I remember,
it's
I
just-
remember my first time. Yeah.
I will say, the moment we hit the launch, that's when Cliff was like, "Oh." We go over the top hat. He's just like screaming, right? He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
We get through the stall. He's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, because I
right?
was not expecting that to be that good. Jeez.
Yeah, it's very whippy.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rest of it, he's just like, "Oh, wee," that type of deal. The final turn before the little bunny hop before the Mosasaurus roll,
Mm-hmm.
I turn to him and I'm like, "Oh, get ready."
Yeah.
And Cliff looks back and he's like, "Thank you, sir." Like, going down. Like, legitimately. Like, he was legitimately doing that.
Yeah, I was.
He was doing the little claps and like the...
yeah. I was getting Twitter pated. Yeah.
Then we hit that roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah," because it's just awesome. It's just so good. Cliff screams so hard that no noise comes out. He literally goes, and then it comes back, and it's like the loudest scream I've ever heard out of him, which I'm not going to do because it is a little later at night.
Yeah.
And then we hit the airtime hill right after, and he's still screaming.
Yeah.
We get to the brake run, and he's sitting there on the brake run,
Yeah.
the entire brake run, even into the station. Oh my God.
Was it really like that? That's funny.
I was covering my
I wish I
mouth
could have been
because
on the
I was
train.
just I was like crying and laughing at the same time.
He was legitimately like in tears at that point too,
Yeah.
which I thought
I'm
it
like
was
getting
so
in
cool.
tears a little bit right now, even just like reminiscing on it a little bit.
It was such a cool experience. I mean, the ride itself is pretty good too.
Mhm.
But speaking of great rides, though, we've got a lot to cover still.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of rapid fire through a couple of these Universal Studios rides if we can.
Yeah, sure.
Rip Ride Rocket, Mummy, Gringotts,
Mm-hmm.
E.T.
Yeah.
I mean, let me know what you thought of some of those. I mean, just kind of
Yeah, just really quickly.
fashion.
Yeah, Rip Ride Rocket is, I don't know if it's like the best. Yeah, I'd like to take our darky buddy to Universal on Friday.
Oh, we should.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to distract you. I was just being a dum-dum.
No, just
I'm
please.
entertaining myself.
Yeah, I get it. I'm boring.
Yeah, you're just a boring elephant that happened to be
in
here.
the room. Yeah, still don't know what I'm doing here. Rip Ride Rocket. I don't know if it's like the greatest fit at a Universal park, but like I don't think it has. I wouldn't say it doesn't have a place there. It's in like because it's there. Like can't help it. Like have to size it up somehow. And like honestly, it's a good ride. It's a really good ride. I have a lot of fun with it. And
So fun, but not amazing theming.
yeah,
Very good, but
Yeah.
it's not the best.
I mean, back row is a little bit of a bother, even though I enjoyed the back row more. But
It's chunky.
it's chunky
It's
and
like,
weird.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and it is got some intense moments.
It's more fun than you would expect, I think.
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
is my main takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mummy is fantastic. Wow. Yeah, Mummy is real good, and that's another one where it's like wow, they really integrated the theming and the thrill flawlessly on that
It's
one.
stupid how good it is for like a 50-foot tall indoor coaster.
I know, right?
Stupid.
And I mean this year, I went to Universal Studios Hollywood for the first time in 20 years as well, and like the one in Hollywood is such a sad imitation. I'm sorry, Universal, if you're watching this and you're trying to like do some like PR control here.
It's fun, but it's not. Yeah. It's not mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. This one is it's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Gringotts, which, yeah, that's a really solid one, and like just like that. Man, you can go on forever about Diagon Alley, but yeah, like I mean, I love that. Like you're like, yeah, start to finish, the moment you're in line, like you're already part of the attraction.
Oh, the line is 1,000% a necessary part of that attraction, in my opinion.
And also, that's another one where kind of like Spider-Man, like it has a very cohesive storytelling, sort of plotting going on that works really well in its favor, and like works well with like integrating it with the coaster, kind of in ways that like Hagrid's and Spider-Man and like Forbidden Journey kind of falls flat on that.
Well, what do you think about the ride system? Because to me, that's the most impressive thing.
That's definitely one of the more impressive things about it too, and that's actually like the star. Well, outside of the actual story itself, like that's kind of the star.
I think it's the star of the show for sure.
Because even like when you have like the weird spoiler alert tilt track thing, like that's even like pretty impressive and fun.
Yeah, the whole thing is incredible from a technological standpoint.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of impressive from a technological standpoint, E.T.
I thought you were going to say something else that you didn't bring up. But yeah, E.T.'s...
Oh.
Yeah.
Last.
Yeah.
Outside of rides.
Yeah. E.T.'s so cute.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's so charming.
Yeah.
Smells so good.
Yeah.
No, the queue smells. I don't know. Theme park smells, man. Like people love the smell of pirates. It's not weird. It's not weird. Okay.
Does somebody make a cologne of like the smells of parks?
Oh, the OT.
They make candles. There's a lot of candles out there.
But no cologne?
I can look it up if you'd like.
Like, do you ever just want to like take someone on a date and
just like shave some of the wax off the candle and rub it all over?
yeah, melt it. Yeah. Yeah, maybe
you'd been on ET before
when I was a kid
in Hollywood.
Yeah, and I didn't remember. I only remembered like the bike taking off and going over the city. And
dude, one thing I don't know if y'all noticed it because Javi and I were in the front.
Yeah,
there is a ET in the basket of the ride vehicle.
I didn't notice that.
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's part of the ride itself, and the really cool thing is when you start off, he appears, right? Yeah. But by the time you get to
he's challenging your height of how high he goes up.
But by the time you get to E.T.'s planet,
yeah, does he duck back down and hide and not want to be seen ever again?
Yeah, he disappears because he's over there.
Okay, I thought he was just hiding because he
that's something if you
anymore. He's just like, I gotta wait for this planet for a reason, dude.
if you ride in front row,
yeah.
He is literally like part of the ride itself.
Okay.
And he'll actually he'll glow and whatnot, I think.
Yeah.
It's a really cool little addition to that ride. By the way, I looked up theme park Cologne and all that came up was Phantasialand because that's near Cologne, Germany.
Good one. All right.
So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find anything on that at the moment. But technologically advanced, we should talk about this. The Bourne Stuntacular. I've seen it before.
Such a stupid name. Oh my god.
It's not a great name, I'm going to be honest.
I know, but like
anything involving the show in words is stupid.
Exactly.
But I was able to convince these two to go see it, really.
Yes.
To not walk out during the pre-show.
I will admit there is a couple things that aren't exactly great about it.
Yeah, then you got to watch it and you're just like, what?
Yeah, the actual show itself is literally it is mind blowing in some ways. I mean, the technology that they're using is brand new still, realistically.
Well, they pitched it as the most technologically advanced attraction that Universal had ever worked on.
I've never seen anything like it, and they have promotional clips for it that do not even come close to doing it justice. Yeah. It is must do for sure. At least once. I don't know personally that I'll ever do it again, but oh my god, it was so cool seeing those set pieces and stuff.
I'd do it again a few times.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I definitely would be in your shoes and recommend it to any newcomer.
Well, yeah, because everyone always whoever I've talked to who hasn't been and seen it, they're like, "What are you talking about? No, it's not going to be good." I'm like, "No, legitimately, it is one of the coolest shows at any park I've ever been to."
Which I think is like a testament to just like kind of the things we were complaining about, how like the pre-show was like, yeah, okay.
Well, it's so good that it overcomes any type of complaint that you could have about it, and then like the dialogue or whatever. But I mean, would you say that's a must do to get back to like those types of question? That question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that. E.T. must do, yes? No?
In the middle, for you.
For me personally, yes, but I can understand saying no.
If you had to do the C tiers,
I think if you're in a family, I think that is a must do.
yes.
If you are a thrill seeker, I don't know if you're gonna really enjoy that.
If you're like me and you love like some flawed attractions, as much as I do,
it's quirky and
yeah,
and
I wouldn't even really necessarily call E.T. super flawed at all by any means.
It really isn't.
It's just aged, and it's just also what's going on here.
No, ignore it.
Yeah, I can't. Fine. It's also just it's taking you out of the movies and putting you on the planet, and it's silly.
I like that aspect of it though.
It's silly.
It's like you get to live the movie and then continue it.
Right.
I've never seen a ride be like a sequel of a movie, kind of.
I mean,
I actually have a
I agree.
rebuttal to that. Fast and Furious Supercharged is technically a sequel.
I also just agree and disagree with that because the movie is its own isolated.
Actually, Kong technically isn't that a sequel? I really don't know actually. I have not seen Skull Island, so. Well, I know it's a prequel, but I'm talking about the ride being a sequel to the prequel. It's all confusing.
Sequel to the prequel. That's
Anyway.
supposed to be a prequel to the next sequel. That's going to actually be a spin-off of yeah.
Hey, okay. Rip Ride Rocket, yes or no? Must do.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
As a enthusiast, yes. As
a family, no.
yeah, no.
Okay. Mummy, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, easily. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gringotts.
Yes.
Okay, fair. Oh yeah, don't forget to go to Diagon Alley. Oh, we haven't done Men in Black. Maybe we can do that
we didn't. Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what you want.
What's the graph there?
Diagonally.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I think that's all the rides that I think that's all the rides at studios that we really wanted. Oh, and you said Born, right, is a must do.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
By the way, is Born a must do?
Being born is a must do.
You guys are the worst.
You must be born to born.
You guys are worse. Okay. I believe that moves us to Fun Spot, correct?
Jank Spot. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you guys' thoughts on Fun Spot? I'm.
We'll make this one quick because there's not much to say.
Yeah, we were only there for an hour and a half, so there's not too much to necessarily say. Although we did a lot in that hour and a half. We were there on a Tuesday, 10:30 to midnight. I really enjoyed the park. I'm not gonna lie, I had kind of lower expectations, but the park was really clean. There was a lot of rides there, like a lot of rides.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was expecting to not want to pay for the wristband because I didn't think I'd get my money's worth, but paying for the wristband totally got my money's worth. But yeah, I actually, okay, so I didn't have the best expectations going into Fun Spot. I really enjoyed it though. I especially loved the fact that there were so many rides. Not that the rides are like anything crazy. You're not talking Universal level or Disney level, obviously. But they were still a lot of fun. Like Freedom Flyer was a fantastic coaster, like especially for families. White lighting in the front row. Oh my goodness, what a great wooden coaster. Even the Scream and Swing, although the cycle was a little short, still really great. Flying.
We were waving at each other.
Yeah. The go-kart tracks, really awesome. I think they have 4, right? That's pretty impressive. I really like that. The Sky Coaster was an upcharge. We didn't do that.
Yeah. But it was pretty.
What else did we do? Oh, we did the Fun House. The Fun House was fun. That's what a fun house does. It's fun. But there's so much to do with those little parks. I was actually really impressed by that. And during the day, I guess there's even more. Like there's an alligator exhibit at that one and like stuff like that.
I don't even know that it's definitely like necessarily during the day. I think just more like busier times, like busier days, and like not an hour and a half before closing. And I will say this, like the park is definitely nicer than I expected, like you said, for sure, like clean, friendly staff, like just presented well, more or less. And but I would not recommend going during the day just because there's no shade. And you're going to be spending no time indoors either. So you will crisp up. And those are not really, the parks are not designed to be done during the day necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Because the parks are only open like 2 p.m. to midnight every single night. So they're definitely made to be a visit if you're bored after leaving one of the bigger parks, which is cool. I like that. I mean, we were kind of like, hey, we should do something tonight, and then we were like, hey, it's 10:30. We can still go to a little park that's only a little while away. So that was really cool. I like that. But yeah, I didn't even think about shade at all. There is literally no shade at that park at all. Maybe in the stations, I guess, but that's it. But then again, it's like when I visited, it was pitch black outside, so like I didn't need to worry about shade at all. Like that was not something that even came across my mind. That is a good point. I like that. Yeah, well done. But Cliff, we rode White Lightning quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what you thought of White Lightning, because I absolutely adored it, especially in the front row. But there's a big difference between front and back.
Oh, absolutely. The difference between front and back is really drastic. I came into this one kind of, again, and probably more so expecting far less, because I've heard so many people say that it's like, oh, it's not as good as Mind Blower, or it's just not that even that great of a GCI period. Like it's, Jeff Pike, the Titan tracks, like whatever. Yeah, I mean, I like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not as snobby, but like it was really enjoyable in the front row, and like it definitely like harkened to like a GCI take on something like Timber Terror or like Blue Streak even, and like it had its fun little nuances too, and it's really super enjoyable. Yeah, it's super good.
So real quick, because I gotta go to bed soon. Got work tomorrow. We're gonna kind of have to just breeze through Busch Gardens.
Oh yeah, probably.
So,
That's fine.
I mean, it's the freshest in our mind, so there's not
Yeah,
much
but it's also
processing that has
but it's
happened.
also like Busch Gardens. Like we really realistically, like we spent a whole day there, but like we only visited like what 5 or 6 things, so, or we did all the coasters and then like kind of just worked with that.
That's it. Basically,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a pretty park. I think you can agree.
Busch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously the coaster park of of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we'll really quickly just like rattle them off. First ride of the day, Montu. Thoughts?
My favorite invert at the moment, incredibly intense Batwing. Love diving down through to the ground and flipping back out again. I know it's an older B&M, and like it doesn't have like as many of like those weird jank nuances that some of the other older B&Ms have, like Flight Deck, but just imagine like a far more intense Banshee.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have equated it to Banshee, I guess.
Well, because Banshee is its own beast.
That's fair. That's fair. So for me, Montu was my first couple rides too. I really enjoyed Montu a lot. It's definitely my favorite invert as well. Yeah. Super forceful in some of those elements for sure. I really enjoyed that last flat spin, the corkscrew, like the final inversion at the end of the ride. That was probably my favorite moment, especially in the front row. There was a lot to love about that ride. I think it's probably my favorite ride at the park, although the top 3 is pretty highly contested. Yeah. But moving on from Montu,
should also probably note for the watchers that Cheetah Hunt was closed. And Iron Boy here was also closed.
That is that. You guys know.
Yeah.
So moving on, like you were saying, Tacumba, which is another one that's like the one that's like in the running for top of the park. Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, just Hulk with a lift hill.
Oh, I was thinking more of Riddler's Revenge. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
it felt like, especially maybe it's just the fact that like the first element was a loop over the lift hill and then a dive loop immediately after.
Yeah,
The layout's very different, I will say, especially in the second half. Like it's really cool. But like that was what it reminded me most of.
Well, it's
It was,
also like
Riddler's.
the first like first three elements are the most common on most B&M loot.
Yeah, no, that is totally true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like what you were saying with like Hulk doesn't feel like your typical B&M.
Yeah.
Kumba feels like your typical B&M, but just done really well.
Right. Yeah.
And then what do we do after that? Oh, I kind of skipped over a couple of coasters. The Wild Mouse Sand Serpent.
Well, a lot of fun because it didn't trim.
Oh, best Wild Mouse ever. It's smooth, dude.
Yeah.
It's smooth and it doesn't trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I know you don't like wild mice that much, but
No, I enjoy them probably
Okay.
more than most people actually.
wild mice.
Whatever. Yeah, we've got quite a few coasters to go through actually.
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion. What Scorpion Classic Schwarzkopf Looper. I love
Yeah.
that thing. It was
Yeah.
great. Really forceful. I actually grayed out twice on that thing.
I grayed out twice as well too.
No joke. I'm not kidding when I say this. I grayed out on everything at the park except for Cobra's Curse
Yeah.
and Sand Serpent. I even grayed out on Air Grover. No kidding.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. I think it's probably just because I was really dehydrated and didn't really eat much throughout the day.
Yeah.
But I grayed out just a tiny bit on Air Grover.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just a wimp. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've grayed out on Bombora too. So, maybe just little family
Okay, I've
coasters
never
are
actually grayed out
my
Bombora
kryptonite.
before. Yeah.
Well, Bombora's awesome. Anyway.
I love
Um,
Bombora, but yeah, I never really grayed out.
What were the other coasters? Kumba, we talked. Shikra.
Shikra.
Shikra, good.
I love Shikra.
Falcon's Ferry was also close, if you just remembered that.
Oh yeah,
As well as the log flume.
We
A lot,
made our,
a
we
lot
made
was
our-
down.
We made our own Falcon's Fury on the frog. Hunter,
Wild
though.
Surge. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was cute. I don't not much more to say about it.
Mhm.
There isn't much more to say
Shikra
about it.
is so cool because it's such a simple, easy, basic layout, but it's just so much fun.
It does it so well.
Yeah.
But like, even though the layout is literally drop, inversion, turn, drop, turn.
Yeah.
That's the entire layout. The setting and like even some of the theming elements add to it.
Yeah.
And also like it's just all those elements are really done well. Like those
Yeah.
vertical drops especially.
Yeah. And the restraints absolutely make all the difference in the world, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And the thing you were touching on is like it integrating well with like the pathways and all that, and like and the theming and all that, or not theming, but just like visuals. And that's the case through all the rides in the park, is they are well integrated in their area. After that is Tigress. I don't know if we even want to talk about Tigress.
Well, I forgot about Tigress coming into this trick
We
for the 15th time, and I also forgot about it when we were in the park until I saw it in the skyline walking towards Kumba, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we do that today."
Yeah, so I had the same thing. I completely forgot when we drove up to the park that Tigress was a coaster at the park, and that's not like Tigress is a bad ride.
No,
I
not by any
absolutely
means.
loved it. It's great. I love Skyrocket 2s, but there are a lot of Skyrocket 2s out there. I'm so used to Electric Eel especially. So even after riding it, like midway through the day, we were going through for our last ride on Kumba, and I was like, "Oh right, we rode Tigress today." Even though it was like an hour and a half before or something like that.
It's kind of wild to me that like a lot of the three big B&Ms we rode today, like kind of overshadowed a Skyrocket 2. It kind of says a lot because Skyrocket 2 is
Skyrocket 2s are good.
yeah, like Skyrocket 2 is like even the Skyrocket 2 at Discovery Kingdom.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Repetitive.
Yeah. At Six Flags Discovery Kingdom is like it that one overshadows a lot of the attractions at Discovery Kingdom. So it's kind of strange that like you come to a park like Busch Gardens and like everything else overshadows that. So that kind of speaks volumes about a lot of the attractions there.
Okay, so then we touched on Air Grover already.
Yeah.
It's a fine kiddie coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And then last would be Cobra's Curse.
Cobra's Curse good.
Cobra's Curse fun.
I think it's honestly like the perfect family coaster,
Yeah.
That's what I often say about it. It's just fun, and it's really palatable for youngins.
And it's also thrilling enough, you know, that you could be
Yeah.
excited even if you're, you know, seasoned coaster enthusiast.
I
like
know
we
this.
are.
I know this sounds nitpicky, but like,
Oh boy, here we go.
I have to wonder just how much the rattle is gonna like bother kids riding it, because it was so significant to the point where I was like, I don't know.
I've literally never been bothered by any type of shakiness or rattle on that. I think it's interesting that you bring that up because I've never noticed anything.
I
Oh,
was
okay, that's
noticing it
not
the
true.
entire
Like
time.
going backwards, I noticed a little shaking, but like never have ever been bothered or like thought it was uncomfortable.
I mean, I personally wasn't bothered for the point where I'm going to be like, or swear it off. But like, I think I have to wonder if like kids are going to notice that and be like,
Well,
this thing's weird. You
To
know?
Cliff's credit, riding in front row, there was definitely like a shaking in half of the layout,
Yeah.
which was kind of crazy to me. Although, looking back at it, I have to look back at it and be like, oh right, yeah. It didn't make a difference for me.
I also think some viewers probably watching this right now and being like, Cliff, what are you talking about? These kids are not going to give a crap about the rattle whatsoever. Like they're going to be more, all their mind's going to be everywhere else besides that, you know?
I think that's true as well. But the other thing is like, you know, maybe you got like we're on a funky wheel or something too. Cause I've sat front row and the same experience as row 2 is what I was in today. But I think there's plenty of like 10-foot or lower kiddie coasters that I've been on that are much more like shaky and abrasive than
Snow Train Town,
Cobra's
Myler.
Curse. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we touched on everything we've done thus far in the trip.
I'd just like to keep talking about Cobra's Curse for a little while longer. I really liked it. I really, really did. I don't think it's like the star attraction of the park. I apologize for keep talking about it, but I really enjoyed it. I know you need to sleep. We need to sleep too. But yeah, Cobra's Curse, I think it's not as thrilling as something like Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, which I usually say is like the best family ride out there. But I will admit, I think Cobra's Curse is probably better because it's not as extreme. But the spinning in there just adds enough thrill where you're like, oh, that's a lot of fun, even if you're a fan of something like Montu right next door, which is ridiculously intense. So I think that's a really cool thing about that ride. Now, it's obviously not my favorite in the park. I don't even think it's like maybe top 5. I really don't know.
10.
Yeah, well, top 10, good one. But like at the same time, I could probably ride that all day long and be satisfied too.
I will also say it's very nice to have a themed ride in the park. Like, I will even say, I'd go as far as to say, like, fully themed, because, like, queue and on-ride as well. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the parks that we have done this far.
So that only leaves SeaWorld Orlando, which it'll be his first time tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to hit 150 credits tomorrow. Oh, boy. That's going to be kind of fun. I get to do, like, Journey to Atlantis for the first time, but Cliff gets to do everything for the first time. I'm very excited for that. And then after that, we're going back to, well, not everything. Yeah, Manta is sadly closed. That's a heartbreaking fact of the matter. But
Yeah.
we will be back at Universal on Friday before we both fly out, which is going to be a lot of fun still. You know, we get a couple re-rides.
Oh, and we would potentially be riding Mind Blower at Fun Spot.
Oh yeah, we might. Yeah. We could totally do Fun Spot tomorrow. I think. Well, we'll you know,
Yeah.
Kraken's a beast. We'll see how I'm feeling to get that.
Okay.
We'll find out. I don't know. It's all up in the air.
Did you just trap him in there?
Why would you do that? Oh my.
He can't breathe.
Oh my gosh! What the heck, man?
Oh my gosh! You're gonna stop people from being able to get like the ball in the cup so they can win a prize.
But anyway, with
See
all
everyone throwing balls at the screen right now, trying to get in the cup. Oh my gosh! Go to bed.
Alrighty.
Then.
So, with all of that said, it's been quite the eventful podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed. And let me know. Do you guys want more guests? Because Cliff is not obviously a mainstay on this podcast at all. Technically, it's supposed to be just Mario and I. Oh no, I'm just saying. He's not technically
Call
a
me
co-host.
an elephant already once.
Oh my! I did not mean it. I still
I'm gonna
apologize.
fall asleep and I'm gonna dream about being an elephant and you laughing at me.
As long as it's not like my dream last night, I think we're okay. Anyway,
Well, I'm sure it lasted over 45 minutes. So. Just like this podcast.
Yeah, this podcast is officially over 45 minutes. Who'd have thunk?
Yeah.
Half is over 45 minutes.
Yeah, the first half was definitely over 45 minutes, but that's okay. That's what podcasts are about. We had a great time. I think this was definitely the favorite podcast to date.
Was this your favorite podcast to date? Was this your favorite Loopy Doods podcast that you've been on?
That I've been on? Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, I kept it short.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I could do a whole podcast about my first experience on a Loopy Doods podcast.
well, we could totally do a full episode on Busch Gardens if we really wanted to. It's just, we talked a lot about Universal, which is fair. We spent a lot of time there too. Mm-hmm. So we only got like 6 hours at Busch technically. So in terms of like actual time,
7.
I think even less.
No, it was. We got there at like 11:15.
Open was 10 and we got there at 11.
5.
11:15. Yeah.
I was just trying to.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just trying to throw you off.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's what I was waiting for.
But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the Loopy Dudes podcast, making its triumphant return with an amazing guest at Analog Thrills on Instagram. And of course, if you haven't yet, make sure to go subscribe and follow Mostly Coasters.
Me.
But mostly follow me. Subscribe to me.
And then, of course, if you're watching this, you're either watching it on my channel or the official Loopy Dudes channel. So make sure to go check that out. We have all the podcasts linked there, and we will eventually fully integrate over to there. And audio videos will be available soon. I mean audio. Audio.
Who would have thought?
Audio listening will hopefully be available pretty soon if this is still doing well. If you guys really would like audio listening, please let us know, because we will totally make sure that ends up happening if the podcast is watched by enough people, because that would be a lot of fun. So if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to share it with your friends who also like theme parks and like to have a fun, relaxing time. But with all that said, thank you all so much again for tuning in. It really means the world, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This has been quite the pleasure.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun.
And of course, until the next Loopy Dudes podcast.
I'll see.
Do we have anything that we say at the end of these?
Yeah, we'll see you on one more ride. Yeah.
I'll see you in.
One
see
more
you
ride,
on
which is the
Memorial Day?
podcast, but the postcast that is not happening this week.
We'll see you on one more ride. Bye.